Namaste. Welcome back, beautiful souls. This is part 5 in a series where I am reviewing tarot books. And today we're going to carry on with the theme of books for healing, working with the tarot for your healing journey. And I'm going to start with this probably the most academic of any of the books I'm sharing with you today, Tarot and Psychology by Arthur Rosengarten. And like I did the last episode, I'll be going through the books slowly and sharing content reflections with you as we go through. So welcome. Hello, Dee. Namaste. Welcome to Your Long Shadows. It's been a while. I forget your name. And if you reminded me last week, I'm sorry, I forgot. So, all right. This is, it's a really interesting book that I purchased around the same time as a couple of the books I showed you last week. You can see that the forewords are by well-known people, Lon Milo Duquette and James Hall. And if you have done some work, psychology work, if you have done any Jungian workshops, been in psychoanalysis yourself, I think this book will really speak to you. Let's just have a look at the table of contents. So, part 1, the Tarot of Psychology. Actually, I want to just dive right on in here because there's some little bits I want to share with you from the foreword, from Lon Milo Duquette, among other things. Okay, let's just go to the beginning. There are some incredible charts and resources in this book as well, too. All right. Foreword by Lon Milo Duquette. For at least 5 centuries, the tarot has tenaciously survived the condemnation of church, the persecution of state, and the ridicule of academia. Long the instrument of fortune-tellers and persons of dubious, if not felonious, character, the tarot enters the new millennium still in the guise of a fallen angel. However, unlike Milton's rebellious protagonist, the tarot now hovers dangerously close to redemption. I am pleased, but not at all surprised, to learn that these ancient and evocative images are now attracting the serious attention of modern mental health professionals. Foremost among these is Arthur Rosengarten, PhD, whose provocative and thoroughly readable work is the subject of these brief words. Since the mid-19th century, adepts of Western Hermeticism have attempted to demonstrate that the tarot is constructed in strict conformity with the fundamental principles of Hebrew mysticism known as the Kabbalah. They asserted that the images of tarot, especially those displayed on the 22 trump cards, are visual personifications of various aspects of deity, which had been categorized with anal retentive zeal by unnamed Hebrew sages at some time in the distant past. So in this foreword, he goes through this history, this evolution of the tarot, and where it has come to at this point. Rosengarten's landmark work spans the abyss that yawns between psychology and mysticism. Remarkably, it does so without diminishment to either art or science. Indeed, both are immeasurably enriched by his unique contributions. It is obvious that this is a work written primarily for the continuing education of mental health professionals. Certainly, in its meticulous notes, exhaustive references, and bibliography and heroic index, set it apart from nearly every book on tarot ever published. Nevertheless, we of the tarot metaphysical community should welcome it with particular gratitude and interest, for it offers us a rare and entirely new look at an ancient tradition. So I want to welcome as well Tina, who is here in the chat. I'm doing well. Thank you, Tina. Okay. Let us go forward. Where there is no vision, people perish. Proverbs 29:18. Okay, so part 1, tarot and psychology. In my therapy office is mounted a very large spinning wheel. It's a quieter version of those glitzy wheels of fortune one finds in gambling casinos. The wheel, too, was designed for spinning in some game of chance or luck. From its steel hub at the center are long, alternating black and white rays that extend outward to the periphery, where formerly was pasted a full deck of 52 playing cards around the outer ring. A brief hypnotic effect is felt in the wheels turning, accompanied by rapid clapping sounds reminiscent of the sweet pattering of baseball cards fastened to the spokes of a child's bicycle. The faster the spin, the more triumphant the patter. At the top of the wheel, bordering my ceiling, a plastic red pointer marks the winning card upon completion of each rotation. Years ago, my wife found this marvelous contraption hanging in a local bookstore, presumably there as some interesting art piece, and managed to persuade the store owner to sell it to us. Like some crazed pirate of metaphysics back to his lair, I at once took great pleasure in methodically replacing the pasted playing cards with a deck of tarot cards. A little glue made the correction completely operational, and in no more than an hour. Unfortunately, however, there were only enough spots on the original wheel to accommodate 52 cards. That is merely the lesser arcana of tarot minus 4 cards. The elitist in me quickly judged he could survive quite nicely without those servile young pages adorned in their natty Elizabethan plumes, and summarily excused all 4 of the from their wheel duty, thereby downsizing the standard 52 to the thereby downsizing to the standard 52. As many people know, modern playing cards are intimately tied to tarot cards, both structurally and historically, and there has been a chicken or egg controversy for years over which came first. So, this book goes on with his incredibly foresighted, huge overview of how he has incorporated the tarot in his psychology practice for a long, long time. Oh, thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. I had a lovely, lovely weekend with my family and partner. It was brilliant. I love some of the subtitles in this book. And while Lon Maluducat describes this as a book for academics, I think there is a lot to learn here. And especially if you are and have been journeying through the tarot for some time. Oh, what a terrible thing to do with a deck, but I think it's really fun. And sometimes if we are going to introduce the tarot to those who feel incredibly uncomfortable with it, I love that creative idea. The game of yourself. In this book, I will lay the groundwork for approaching tarot as a tool of significant psychological and spiritual usefulness and discuss its relevance to contemporary psychotherapy. Though I use tarot quite sparingly in my own clinical practice, as much and often as the situation allows, I have witnessed on countless occasions tarot's fantastic therapeutic properties firsthand, And I mention my converted tarot wheel because the wheel itself serves as a fitting metaphor for the tarot. So there are, throughout this book, several situations of in groups, in talking groups, in single therapy sessions, where he felt that the patient was open to this broader perspective of looking at the healing journey. And some of these vignettes, these stories from different groups, are really quite poignant. And I think more than anything, these stories, what they give us is another light on the cards, another way to, or another story to have to share when you may need to reinforce a tarot principle to a client who is struggling to understand. So I would say that not only is this a book for mental health professionals, but this is a book for tarot professionals who are working at a deep healing level with querents, who regularly seek help from you. And you may be working in more than one modality with them as well, too. Let me read just a little paragraph here from this patient. I suggested that my AIDS patient select a deck from several available that most appealed to his emotions, that spoke to his heart. He chose the Aquarian deck as the colors and imagery had a soothing effect which he liked. Then I placed the full set of 78 cards on the table in no apparent order, and face up so that each card was in clear view. The process was quite simple and remarkably meaningful to him. I asked that he slowly scan through all the images and pull out every card that touched him in some way, without being stingy with his feelings. It was not important that he know a card's designated meaning, only that it spoke to him, tickled his imagination, or touched his emotions. He relished the task and slowly sifted through the images, picking out perhaps 3/4 of the deck one by one. I believe anyone given the same task under normal conditions would likewise respond to the intrinsic evocative properties and possibilities laden in tarot images. And so in reading through these chapters and the stories with his clients, I find reinforced some activities that I have done with querents, and also some new suggestions of ways I may get the client more involved in the tarot. So I've shared with you a few times that sometimes I will listen. And this is also you reading your tarot journal aloud and listening to yourself, recording it on a voice memo and listening to words. And then you can respond to that listening and go, I can show this story with the tarot. And pull out a vignette of cards and look at it in a different way. With a tarot reading, we tend to draw the cards and then analyze. But in both this case, with the AIDS patient, And what I'm suggesting here is that we can do it the other way as well. Yeah. All right. D, I have to take a vacation when she is done. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, maybe when I'm done teaching tarot? Let's go to D's comment here. When I read, one of two things happens. The card meanings may call out, or often the pictures tell the story. It's not the same every time. And I think when you pick up a book like this, you understand that there's different ways to use a tarot deck. And the more accessible your tarot decks are, the more they become your friends and your healer. And I like what he calls this little section here. This is beyond couples counseling. And I completely relate to this story where a newly married couple comes into the metaphysical store where I am reading and wants a reading. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. I'm thinking, you should have had this reading 6 months ago, 2 years ago, because the tarot is a really helpful tool. And I didn't know, like, this kind of situation is really, really dicey. I didn't quite know what to expect. And so beyond couples counseling, beyond asking a question, I think we need to let the tarot show its healing way. Yeah. Why? You may be opening a can of worms. Do you not trust the situation? Is this just for fun? Did we do the right thing? So if you're going to step into this kind of situation, then you need to be open to shifting the energy of the relationship. And if memory serves right, what happened in the reading was that it was so loud and clear the male partner was in the wrong job, or in a job that he didn't love, or in a job that he was doing for the wrong reasons, that kind of energy. But he was sticking with it there was just this real sense of duty. And the direction that the session went was, well, what does it mean for the relationship if he leaves the breadwinning job? And so that's sort of where we went, and it was a very powerful discussion. And so what I've learned from this book, Risks and Benefits is the next chapter title, is that are you sure? Are you sure that is the question you want to ask? And you've all seen me do various sessions on how to ask a good question. Or when I was doing live readings, saying things to the person on the other side of the YouTube that, this is a very disempowering sort of question. What if you asked this? because the power of the tarot is the power of healing, the power of support, the power of helping. So we need to be really, really careful with all of this. At the back of this book, there are several case studies, and there's this really cool chapter on the Seven of Cups, which is super interesting. And if memory serves me, yes, there is also an appendix of proverbs. So there are proverbs for every single card. And I think he calls them proverbs, not affirmations. Slightly different sort of energy. Phrases and proverbs. That can also take you out of the analysis mode, the interpretation mode. I see the chat comment now. Aloha, Jonathan. That can take you out of the analyzing the reading mode and using the tarot more as a healing tool. So I'm just going to read a couple of these, and I've got lots of other things to share with you today. Two of Swords. Phrase: closeness without merging. Friendship and respect. Opposites. Mutuality and respect for difference. Reversed: broken trust, abandonment, betrayal, and self-trust. And then it goes on, it describes the Waite-Smith image, and then it says that traditionally this is about conformity, friendship, concordance, opposition, balance, and equilibrium. If you want to be respected, you must respect yourself. Spanish proverb. These, I looked through a lot of the cup ones earlier, and they are kind of a brilliant layer to have you look at the cards in a different way. So this is quite a heavy read, but it's also very affirming that the tarot is, all of those of you that are in the chat here now know this. This is a super powerful tool, and there are plenty of therapists out there that are using this as a serious medium for or tool in aiding therapy sessions. Yeah. Okay. So you were talking about driving lessons with your daughter. Yes, pretty exhausting. All right. So now I'm going to flip the switch, and we're going to go from Tarot and Psychology by Rosengarten to Tarot for the Healing Heart by Christine Jett, who some of you may know. Okay. I should tell you the years these books were published, because I think sometimes that is very useful information. And I will put links to all these below afterwards. Pretty quickly, I will do that for you. So this is copyright 2000 Paragon House. So it's certainly not a new document. Christine Jett, Tarot for the Healing Heart. Using inner wisdom to heal body and mind. All right. This is 2001, so also not a new book. I I like the step-by-step approach that this book takes. You know, sometimes people don't have funds or energy, or they feel embarrassed, or to work with a healer or a tarot reader over a long period of time. Yeah, I know. I feel so old when someone said 2000 is not new. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that would be a great video to watch, Dee. Okay, so what am I saying here? I'm saying that this book approaches and explains things really beautifully. So I want to read a little bit from chapter 1. But I really appreciate that there is a whole chapter on, she calls it Clearing the Path, the Tools of Healing. And I feel like this book is it's a very integrative look at the journey of healing. The fourth part is called Lion Heart. Also a really cool title or subtitle for this section, in that we need tremendous commitment and bravery to walk this journey. I don't have that book, Jonathan. I did share several healing books in the last episode as well, but I don't have that one. She is also supporting language such as dis-ease, hyphenated word, versus the word disease. And this first came to my attention, of course, through yoga studies, but a really important perspective. So let's go to the beginning of the book, where I can share some of this. I also have a book for you today that I do not like, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Linking to a timeless right, holistic healing, tarot, and you. Time magazine estimates that Americans spend $30 billion each year on alternative health practices. With the start of the new millennium, attitudes toward health and healing are changing. People are beginning to take on an active role in their own well-being. Many are trying yoga, tai chi, meditation, herbal remedies, natural medicines. Some hospitals are now offering massage, healing touch, reflexology, aromatherapy, chakra balancing, Reiki, acupressure, and hypnosis. Let me just skip ahead here. Activities include, here we go. Illness is a puzzle. Many pieces fit together to give a complete picture. Healing is not an all or nothing proposition. There is no one right way to heal, and no two healing experiences are the same. The amount of time you spend with the activities in this book depends on your personal goals for healing, and I don't like that word either. I don't want to be setting goals for healing. Healing is a journey. It's not a destination. And we can take many detours along the way. And I cannot say enough how powerful language is in the healing journey. And so when you read a book such as this, it might be really useful to go through and actually edit and cross words out. And especially if you've been doing this for a while, right? Because we're not setting goals for healing. Be as elaborate or simple as your intuition tells you to be. Activities include 10 original tarot layouts for healing, tarot card meditations for releasing the healer within, exploring healing as a lifestyle, and keeping a healing journal, creating an atmosphere for healing, breaking the pain cycle and developing psychic ability through sacred play with tarot cards. When spider webs unite focuses on using the energy of tarot to form your own circle of support. The time you invest in any of these is your choice. Tarot for the Healing Heart helps you find solutions to life's challenges. Every tarot card has actions to support the healing process. Very important, because this next book I'm going to share doesn't take that point of view. No prior knowledge of tarot is required. And you can see there's some really good subtitles here. A word about chronic pain, getting the most from the book. You are the healer. Okay, so this is such an important chapter, and something I go through with all of my clients as well too, in that sacred space is the sacred space within the mind. Sacred space is little corners and nooks in various rooms in your house. It could be the ledge above the sink where you wash your dishes. It could be a little corner in your garden. It could be a place on a path in a park where you sit every day. Sacred space exists everywhere, and eventually it will become a lifestyle. However, the process of clearing a path, see the title of this chapter, is really important. And I love her attitude in this. Okay. So many things in this book, but I do want to skip to the end of this book. There is many pages, one page for each of the tarot cards. And like the psychology book, there is a fresh way to view each of these cards. And the attitude to each of the cards reinforces a really fundamental principle in the tarot, and that is one that every single card is pointing us back to balance. Mental balance, emotional balance, physical balance. And these cannot be separated. And I just love the way that this is organized. So the life lessons for each card speak to imbalance and dis-ease. The life wisdom speaks to balanced energy healing. So let's look at the star card. I'm going to share this with you. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can read along. And I'll do one minor as well. Life lessons of the star card. The life lesson is despair, and the life wisdom is hope. Failing to recognize your talents and abilities, loss of hope, loss of self-esteem, getting lost in wishful thinking, and lacking faith or lack of self-confidence. The life wisdom is an opportunity for new insight into a situation, gaining a sense of direction, having a renewed sense of hope, inspiration, and discovering inner light for the healing heart. I think we tend to, in tarot readings, point to wisdom rather than navigating the lesson of every card, especially when we're looking at a card that is primarily seen as positive. Especially because we know the star card follows a card that can be viewed as destruction or liberation. And the journey from or through Tower to Star It's not like when we land in the star, all of the lessons of the tower are healed. Anyway, I appreciate her regular, like the repeating reflection of, okay, what's the lesson here? Or you could say, what is the piece that I'm not seeing? I know this is really hard to read because it's kind of folded over. I'll hold it up a little bit. 7 of Cups. Inner work on the emotional plane. Life lesson. The fairy dust card. Being stuck in fantasy or wishful thinking. Indecision. Peter Pan. The wisdom. Identifying false assumptions. Recognizing golden opportunities and taking the time what to do next. Recognizing the complexity of emotions. Actions to support the healing process. If you are feeling a bit spacey, practice grounding and centering. Boji stones and hematite will help ground your energy. You are in a period of indecision. You will benefit from sampling different types of alternative healing techniques because each one will have something to offer you. The mysticism of the 7 implies you benefit from diversity. Explore diverse New Age philosophies. Analyze the illness in your life because you are ready to confront your deeper emotional nature. Keep a dream journal. Anyway, and she goes on. I think this is it's a good book for people who like to take the tarot in small chunks. Or maybe this is for, of course there's larger spreads and things here, but I think it would be a great supplement. So let's suppose somebody did have a treatment with you. Maybe it's a Reiki treatment. After the Reiki treatment, they draw a card and then they can go home and then focus on that particular card and the message in this book from the card. I think it's very practical guidance and thoughtful consideration here. All right, Cleopatra. I'm going to go to the Cleopatra comment. That caught my eye. She was born 25,000 years ago after the Great Pyramid of Giza was built, and 2,000 years before the first lunar landing. So closer to us landing on the moon than the pyramids. Ancient, schmancient. Oh, these trucks outside are very noisy. Okay, so I want to compare and contrast this book, which I kind of like, to this book, which I do not. And I will tell you why. Because I have taught several classes called Tarot Through the Chakras, and because I have lived Chakra Sadhana, I have done Chakra Sadhana here at home on retreat in India, worked with many levels of teachers, and this was before the tarot really became profound in my life. And then I began to integrate and see correspondences. And then I remember finding Isabel Rado Kliegman's book. And that was the first time I had read Chakra and Tarot in one paragraph and going on throughout the book. I began to see these correlations, these correspondences, and it was kind of brilliant. And I remember one tarot teacher who had the Osho Zen Tarot in her room, and she often had students draw a card. And we worked with those and did reflections on those. And so when I began to create, or why did I create my tarot class? And I'm going to do some advertising here because I can. I created my tarot chakra class because what was being shared in chakra oracles and chakra tarots wasn't open enough. It didn't support this web of connections that the tarot is. They don't understand the mandala of the tarot and how pretty much every card in the tarot can point to any chakra if you know the energy of the chakras well enough. And so what I attempted to do in my class was to give an overview of that knowledge and then apply that knowledge to the tarot as a whole. Now, this particular book by Miriam Jacobs, you would think would be just the perfect book for a course like mine. And I just want to say, so this book goes with the Polarity Wellness Tarot deck. I don't know Miriam, and I'm using this as an example more so than knocking this book. In this tarot system, the suits and the septenaries are assigned to certain chakras. And for me, this has been so limiting, so very, very limiting. You all know that the tarot, you can respond to the tarot visually, artistically, emotionally. Sorry, I'm just looking for my camera. I need to zoom out here. And symbolically, of course. And sometimes those little symbols on the cards really do help. When a particular card points you to Mars and you're reminded, okay, how is this martial energy showing up for me at this time? And yet we also need to know that we can let go of that. And I just find that a book like this doesn't help the process. So I'm going to give you some examples of what I'm talking about. All right. And there's some good stuff in here. There definitely is. There's some meditations in here and a few good things as well. So the Ace of Air. Ace of Air is all air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. The anatomy is shoulders, kidneys, and ankles. It's more than that, but let's go on. Attributes. Ace of Air indicates a clear message and a new perspective. It signifies inspired ideas and easily reached solutions. The Ace of Air is focused and clear. I'll agree with that one. It indicates the moment when the figurative light bulb goes off and illuminates our thoughts. Advice. Develop the idea that inspires you. Stay focused. Let's go on here. Story. The inspiration for creating my Polarity Wellness Tarot deck came from a conversation I had over dinner with my former Polarity teachers. I was telling them about a slideshow I had developed with a colleague showing world art images that related to the tarot. I wasn't sure where we could take the presentation or if I could sustain my colleague and myself. I was asking for advice. They suggested creating a product, and on the way home from dinner, it became clear I was going to create my own somatic tarot deck. 4 years later, the deck was completed. The introduction, I'm going to go back. This is the introduction to the air suit. The chakra is the heart. The anatomy, I've already shared with you. Sense of touch. Body response is movement and speed. Emotions, compassion, and desire. I will disagree with the second one. Color is green. I will disagree with that. Keywords: mental thought, contemplate, ideas, movement, speed, disperse, and lightness. When we try to put the tarot into little boxes, we become so very, very limited. While the heart space is most definitely the element of air, and that fits in brilliantly with a correspondence to the prana of the lungs. It is the medicine of the heart space is, for sure, it's about compassion. All the teachings of the Dalai Lama, the high frequencies of balanced, well enlightened beings. It is about a higher frequency of love. And absolutely in no way is it about desire. Desire is a low frequency that comes from the lower chakras. And I find that a lot of tarot chakra or tarot oracle chakra books are not well founded in chakra sadhana and chakra psychology. The frequency of the Swadhisthana sacral chakra is so different than the heart space, and they tend to get overlapped. And what doesn't happen is a correspondence between sacral chakra and throat chakra, which is a powerful energetic line. So I created my own documents. I created my own documents to go with my own course. What I do like in this particular book is that there are a variety of meditations that are written out somewhere in the middle, I believe, if I can find them. So what you can do is you can take these meditations, they're in italics here, and you can record them and then listen to them and work with them. So I don't want to belabor this point. My point is just be really careful if you're doing this work to trust when a card is pointing somewhere in your physical body to let it do that, right? You don't need a book to tell you that all of the earth cards are going to connect to your root chakra, because they're not. Nor will all of the earth element related major arcana be connected to your root chakra. But they might bring in a connection between your crown and your root. They might bring in something between other paths and lines and things. So be discerning. Be discerning. Okay. I want to close today with two tarot decks, or two books that offer great healing energy. Wild Magic is a workbook for the Wildwood Tarot. And If you like the energy of the Wildwood Tarot, the animal energy, the teachings, the constant teachings of reciprocity and balance and healing, this might be a really good book for you. This is a really high quality book. You know, it has one of these lovely built-in bookmarks. It's not a large book. I'm going to go to the table of contents for you so you can see. There is a study section and a practice section. Okay, so we need to understand and then we need to apply. And my favorite part of this book is the application section. And many of these meditations and spreads I have used and recorded over and over and over. And you don't need to understand the Wildwood Tarot or be so well versed in the Sabbats and the energy of the Sabbats and how this particular deck, you know, the sixes apply at the equinoxes and the solstices, and the first court that comes up is a king, and then the pages change into the next season. You don't really need to know all that. I mean, if you do, that's great, because this book takes a different approach to the Wildwood Tarot. To use the Wildwood Tarot for your own healing journey. And I really, really like this book. And this particular practice here that goes with the Judgment card is a practice of ancestral healing. And then there's an ancestral spread that follows. And this is work of forgiveness, letting go, creating lightness. I don't know, I love the approach that this book takes. And then I talked about emerging from darkness a little earlier today. Robin Cole. This deck is available now, I think, through Make Playing Cards. This was the Kickstarter version. I find that a lot of tarot readers have very specific I'll just have to read to you. I know it's not focusing. When I talk about shadow work and working through patterns and challenges in the tarot, I have a very broad perspective. I may be talking about Jungian psychology. I may not. And I know that that is a word that is a little more specific in Jungian psychology, but it's also a part of Chakra Sadhana. It's a part of lots of different methodologies to help us heal our pain. And in part 2, Robin talks about several shadows. Some are denial, desire, envy, shame, anger, self-loathing, fear, and guilt. And I love that they take apart the process of extrication, understanding in so many detailed layers. So the process is identify, excavate, explore, transform, and integrate. Not abandon, integrate, right? our shadow, our darkness is part of who we are. So this is a really well done book. There is a huge introductory section, and then we get into each of the cards. And Robin very eloquently examines the shadow of every card. I don't know any other tarot book that does this. Bye, Jonathan. We usually get a long description on the general energy of the card and then a little bit of reversal information. This book is very different. It approaches every single card from the shadow perspective. And so I'm going to go to the minor arcana actually, and I'm going to pick one and read it to you in full. Okay. 10 of Cups. The key words are fulfillment, hopes, dreams, harmonious home, marriage, soulmates, love, happy family, and perfection. Happiness abounds in the 10 of Cups. An abundance of love and pleasure are flowing through life, asking to be shared with others so it can continue to grow. This card often appears when you are surrounded by loved ones you share a powerful and deep connection with. A grand celebration may be occurring, like a wedding or event or spirit of spiritual significance, causing you to come together and support one another. Enjoying this feeling of interconnectedness and explore it. Enjoy this feeling of interconnectedness and explore it to its fullest. This is your tribe. Treasure them. Now, as soon as I start to read this, I can feel an energy of resistance. This is the shadow of the 10 of Cups. Or just a second here. Sorry, this one takes a slightly different approach in the minor arcana. The shadow here, or working with the 10 of Cups, is going to poke the bear. I love that expression. When I was reading this, I was thinking of way back when I was reunited with my birth mother, and I started to be surrounded by an overwhelming number of family members, sitting around farm tables, big kitchen tables with lots of people I didn't know. Everybody's really happy to meet and curious, and it was so overwhelming. I honestly didn't know how I was going to make it through. This is what was coming to mind here. In the context of shadow work, this card is a powerful force of transformation. All of that love and laughter fills you with light, making your heart shine bright like the sun as it banishes the shadows around it. Fill yourself up with that light and let it fill every space of your being. So my question here when I'm thinking of my story was, how would I let that in when layers of protection still feel so, or I feel so vulnerable, or I felt so vulnerable at that time. The 10 of Cups encourages to follow your heart and trust your intuition. Seek out opportunities that fulfill you, increasing that glow from within. Shadow cannot stand long in the path of such energy, and it holds upon you will begin to weaken when you find yourself on a path that nourishes you so. Do not worry if it is not the path that others expect you to take. They are not living this life. You are. The time has come to live your most authentic life, unafraid of the scars left by your past. I may not have chosen the best page to read aloud as an example of how clever her approach to the shadow of each of the cards is. But the idea with this deck and with these cards is that you focus on the lesson in every single card and what your response is to that lesson. She also has a recommendation of decks for shadow work. Speaking first of simple decks, decks that are not distracting. A simpler, more basic image can tap into something more primal within us, an almost primordial memory that makes me think of cave painting and other such symbols our distant ancestors once spoke through. So she mentions the Wild Unknown, Raven's Prophecy, Marigold Tarot. I'm not so sure about that one. The Everyday Tarot. You know what tarot comes to mind when I think of this is the Way Home Tarot, perhaps. That might fit there. And she does discuss dark depths decks and thematic decks as well too. Yeah, I like the approach that she takes here, and the deck is really kind of poignant. And while it is a contemporary deck, and contemporary decks with contemporary images can be very, very narrow, this one is just sort of on the edge of that. So, yeah, this is the Six of Cups. Maybe a lemonade stand or lemonade stand from your childhood. Anyway, I just want to offer that up. So that's it for today. And I will carry on sharing my books. I have a few other categories. I want to do Thoth books. I want to do some Marseille books. I have actually, and beyond that, there's a few other themes that I pulled together. So I don't know what's up next, but I will do my best to share my entire tarot library, including some more advanced books as well too. But I think we'll see how I organize that. Anyway, thank you for your support, your kind comments from this series. I've wanted to do it for a while, and it's good to dust off my shelves and to revisit some of these books I haven't read for a long time. Yeah. Okay. Have a lovely rest of your day. I will see some of you tomorrow. Take good care. Namaste.